This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome to session 4 of our ECP Payroll. So today actually I'll be demonstrating you the backend system, whatever we have seen in the clinic session yesterday, like the topic like activating the business function, activating the services, different roles in authorization and SML2. So all these things I'll be demonstrating, and if the time permits, towards the end we will start with the basic concept of your compound employee API. Okay, how what are the different features? Small topic. Then before we start for P2P in detail. Okay, so this is for today's agenda. So let me go to the system.
Yeah. So today, in terms of the slides,
This conference will now be recorded.
So there are different types of API in SuccessFactors or any cloud product you talk about. API stands for your application programming interface. And when it comes to SuccessFactors API, we have a generally three types of API. We have mostly you'll be seeing that is your REST API. Another thing is your another thing that is your compound employee API. The last one is your SF API. Okay, so SF API, REST API, and compound employee API. Okay. So we'll not be going to all those technical APIs, which are I'll be anyway explaining much later on. Okay, like but from a SuccessFactors point of view, from an EC payroll point of view, so compound employee API plays a major role. Okay, so what is the purpose of this API? So like with this API, what it will do, so it will extract of all of your employee data out of your employee central. Okay, whenever this API will start activating, and you just run your before when you start your running your point-to-point replication, this compound employee APIs becomes active, and it will be just extracting those employee data depending upon which program you are using, which point-to-point replication you are using. Okay, so that is the focus of this compound employee API. Okay, it will just query in that particular employee data, and it will just fetch those specific data. Okay, and technically it is based on SOAP protocol. There are different types of protocols: HTTP, SOAP, XML. Okay, so there are, but a compound employee API is based on API is based on SOAP protocol. Okay, technically, and this is how a typical compound employee API XML schema looks like. Okay, so we'll be in the left hand side, you will be seeing the person information, that is your from employee central, as I was talking about. So from a person, employee related data, you'll be having your person's information, basic detail, address information. It can be email information. It can be, if it is, can be employment information. Again, under employment, suppose if you're talking about employment information, there are two subcategories. Okay, so under employment information, there are different portlet you can say. Okay, so under employment information, you'll be having two kinds of information again. One is your job information. Second one is your compensation information. Okay, so under compensation information, again there are two types. Like the one is a recurring, or it can be non-recurring. That is info type 14 and 15. It can be. Okay, so these are the different types of details, portlet details. Like another, like national ID card, job relation, phone information. Okay, so this is a high level how the technical architecture point of view, how a typical compound employee API XML schema will look like. Okay, so this is just for understanding. But anyway, whenever what are the different key features, as I was mentioning, like it will be referring your, depending upon that XML whatever I've shown you, it will pull your employee historical information, your for a particular different specific time, the specific data, like it can be your whatever the data for it can be time based. For a typically we call that delta mode compound employee API. Suppose if you like, if your web service demands like on a specific date, you want specific details about it. Okay, so then your delta mode compound employee API will be coming into picture, and it will fetch only those specific data. So whenever you're applying any filter in the data replication monitor, or any of your services on point-to-point replications, okay, or any query if you're writing, okay, so those query details I'll be explaining it tomorrow whenever I'll be having deep dive of your point-to-point replication and how this compound employee API works into detail. But at present, just at a high level, like there are different query you can write it. Okay, so that is that there are different features. So you can also pull out global assignment data. Okay, how this field level details they will be talking to each other. Those results detail will be finding in the compound employee API. Okay. So this is regarding the high level, what is the meaning of a compound employee API. Okay. So before we start the detail of a point-to-point replication, one thing I would like to highlight here. I was expecting general people ask these questions most of the project technically. Okay. So if you see why there is a need of a compound employee API, okay, or there is a query why we would need that. Okay. So if you see in a typical standard replication program, SAP has given only two options here. One is your configuration ID and there is an external employee ID. Okay. Let's say you are working in a typical project where you are not going live. Suppose it is a staggered go live. Okay. You have a different 5 different company and all this is a conglomerate, and you have decided only 3 company code will be going live in the month of June 2020. Another 2 company code will be going live, say, in the month of October 2020. Okay. So this is just from my project experience. I'm just explaining why we will need this compound employee API and why there are further configurations required. And so that from that point of view, so there is no filter here. So any of this point-to-point replication program, okay, so this is ideally for, suppose if you are only having only 1 company code, or it is very simple, like for every company code you are just implementing. In those cases, you can directly use this point-to-point replication. There is without any error, will be everything will be successful. Okay, but in those scenarios which I have explained to you in the staggered go live, where you required any specific company code to be implemented, only those point-to-point replications should happen. Only those 3 company code, not the remaining one. Okay, so in those cases, you have to use compound employee API using query. There are some query configurations required, which I'll be explaining you tomorrow. Okay, so that is the need why actually we are exploring this. That is need actually. Okay, otherwise, if it is standard implementation, it is a big bang go live. Okay, so you do not have to explore much here. Okay, so that will be explaining. I'll be explaining you tomorrow in detail about it.
Okay.
So yeah, any question here regarding compound employee API? Just we started it. We'll be going deep dive again.
Oh, no, this is good. I mean, so far so good. Compound employee API is basically bringing your EC data to ECP, and
Exactly.
you've where can I find that detailed XML map, that 306 slide?
This slide you will not be finding anywhere. Actually, my integration consultant have created their own. They refer
I've seen
something.
it. I've seen it somewhere actually.
Might
Uh,
be some blog you might have seen it. Somebody have it, some SCN blogs they have written it, but in the official documentation, I didn't find it anywhere. Especially in the EC payroll guide and implementations, I didn't find it anywhere. But I just talked to my means in my previous project, the technical integration team. They have provided me in this XML, and they have actually explained to me 1 year back actually. Okay, so how this XML works and all. But I think in the integration document you'll be finding the technical integration guide, right? Means not EC payroll. There is a implementation. There is a separate implementation guide for specifically for integration consultant. Okay, so in those guide you may find this thing where exactly they explain a lot about your technical integration. This I think you'll be finding there. But
okay,
I'm
no
not,
worries.
but it is not there in your this all-in-one guide, which whatever I've said with you. Okay, so this is regarding this, and tomorrow we'll be explaining. I'll be explaining how to configure this query into detail, and that is not required every time. Only when you are having a staggered go live or any specific requirement in your client. That in those cases only it is required. Okay? Otherwise, you do not have to configure in query. In this project which I was showing you, we have not configured because it was a simple go live. Only we had from 300 to 500 employees, so only that was not very complicated. Okay. But only in case of staggered go live, you may require it. Okay. For that reason, I'll be explaining to into details tomorrow. Okay. Is that fine?
Okay, no worries. I mean, tomorrow will be interesting. Today,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the beginning, we had some issues, and
Yeah.
but most of the discussion was, would say, very technical. When I say very technical, technical from technical point of view, not from payroll point of view, just to get things started, services,
Hmm.
business functions, etc.
Hmm.
But so far so good,
Hmm.
and uh, I guess when you will share those blogs and those details with
Ah,
me, and
Yes.
whenever we will have gap. So is it okay, Niladri, if we stick with the pattern of 3 sessions in a week? Is that all right? Because it will give me some time to do some reading,
Okay.
considering your busy schedule and my busy schedule as well. I'll get some time to absorb and read.
Definitely, definitely. Even for at least for this point-to-point replication, I would recommend that because it is too technical compared
Yeah.
to the admin side as well. Payroll control center is easy. Okay, payroll control center actually is a very specific document is there and very methodical. But here it is little tricky, and there are different business scenarios as I was talking about, which SAP implementation guide doesn't talk about it. Okay, so
No,
that
that
I'll
will be fun. That will be fun. I'm very much looking forward to it.
okay.
And I'll not boast about anything. I've dealt with some of those scenarios in the beginning, but I'll
Hmm.
let you drive it and
Okay.
totally get into the details and share from your experiences all the
Hmm.
nuances. That will be
Yes.
fabulous.
Yes. 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 Definitely. I will definitely share whatever the experience I do have for the last four implementation, whatever I have worked. Okay. So all those experience and from my colleagues' experience also they share with me all those lessons learned also I'll be sharing with you. That is the only purpose. Otherwise, anyone can learn by going through this implementation guide. So that is for me. That's not the main purpose. So I'll be sharing my experience and all those. That is a more of experiential learning, which I generally prioritize in my the way I learn in that way mostly. Okay. So anyway, it's very interactive. It is more interactive
No,
so
no,
rather,
tomorrow I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, if I were to tell you an analogy, it's learning from you and learning from guide can be compared with learning cricket by reading Wikipedia and learning cricket from a very good coach or a very good player who has got a tremendous experience and has actually faced the reality of cricket.
yeah,
But yeah, just one out of curiosity, Niladri.
yeah, tell me.
See, uh, I mean, our sessions are very much practical or very interactive, right? We
Yes.
do ask uh,
Hmm.
relevant questions, etc.
Hmm.
Just in case, I do not know, maybe you will be skipping few things for me which isn't necessary or which is necessary, which I don't know. But could it happen that our sessions would exceed your 15, 16 session? Would that be a problem for you, or you'll be fine covering it properly for me and making sure that all the points are covered really well?
Uh, so I will cover all the points very well. So that is my priority. So it may exceed 3 to 4 hour additional thing. That doesn't matter to me. Okay. Unless and
Okay, that's
until,
good.
yeah.
That's good
Okay.
because that's what good teacher says. Yeah.
Yeah, unless and until because the one thing I understood from in this experience, like the as I was telling, it is my passion to make it understand to other people. And what is the only one thing I find in this teaching and thing is that is instant gratification. Like you understood, whether it is a yes or no, it can't be in between. Whether you understood completely, whether you understood not. Okay. So if you're saying yes, then I'll be feeling more motivated. Yes, I was able to explain you in a, that way because that is the way actually I follow. So it doesn't matter to me if it is requires an additional 2 or 3 sessions. It doesn't matter. Even in the
Okay,
previous session,
that's good.
people, even after completion of training, even after 1 year also, they are coming back. Like they need some delta session with me. Without any hesitation, I'll just provide it to me. Like, yeah, what else? Just a good friend, nothing else. So I'm very open to that. So anytime you can put your queries. Even I'm learning. So if it's not I'm an expert, I'm not saying an expert. Still, I'm in a work in progress product. Okay. So that's the thing. Okay. Okay, that's all for today. Anything?
No, no, this is great. I'll let you go because you have your office as well,
Yeah,
and
I have to resume after 1 hour. I have to resume my office.
yeah, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm very much looking forward to it because tomorrow is when the real game will start, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because that is the foundation before we go to the P2P. The P2P is the very methodical, but this is the basic foundation. If you don't understand, then you will not be able to understand those steps. Those steps are easy. Those even in the learning hub, I'll be telling you where exactly the demonstration are there. There are some simulations files if you can execute. They're very easy to follow. But the backend, the foundation, if you do not understand, then there is no point in going that particular step. There are predefined steps how to do that P2P. But why we are doing it, that is also most important. As a functional consultant or a future, if you're planning, as an architect, okay, you have to, and a solution architect, you have to understand how this thing is happening in the back end. Okay, so that is my focus.
Okay, so can we do this, Niladri? Just our tomorrow we will do the P2P, the regular stuff,
Okay.
and we'll uh, uh, and then we'll take a break maybe, and then resume again on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, whenever you would prefer. We'll
Okay.
work out that time, but I
Sure.
would need half an hour from you. I'll
Hmm.
share my screen and my learning hub, and you can
Hmm.
perhaps help me walk through
Hmm.
some of the bits. I
Hmm.
also want to explore with you in
Hmm.
your supervision.
Hmm.
My learning hub lets me access success factors as well
Hmm.
as on-premise payroll uh,
Hmm.
uh, with limited hour duration. So
Hmm.
if we can look at it together, at least
Hmm.
I'll know that these are the interesting bits from Learning Hub, from
Hmm.
ECP point of view or EC
Okay.
point of view. I should be focusing in
Hmm.
future. I mean,
Hmm.
once not just during our class, I'm talking about future for
Okay.
certifications,
Okay.
deltas, or
Hmm.
self-learning point of view.
Sure, sure, sure. Definitely, Lokesh. I have noted this one as well. So generally, I also it is also part of your certifications guide. Okay, whenever I complete the session or in the initial phase, I just give an overview. These are my cutoff. These are section of questions you'll be getting. Okay, so those details I'll be conducting the session. Okay, so by after tomorrow's session, what we will be doing? We'll be having a 2 days gap, and again in the Monday morning from my timing, we will start. Okay, so that I'll be also guiding you like which are the topics you'll be focusing from a certification point of view, okay, or from a self-learning point of view. Okay, we'll be having a separate session for that. Definitely, I'll just make a note of it. It is planned, so you do not have to worry. It is already planned, but it's towards the end of this session. But if you want a little bit more before that, then I'm happy to share that. As I can shift that session towards the beginning.
Yeah, if you do it in the beginning, what will happen is,
Hmm.
see, I'm not just attending the classes. I'm
Hmm.
doing my revision also, because when I'll get this gap,
Hmm.
Friday, Saturday,
Hmm.
I'll revise things. But in that
Hmm.
meantime, and in future also, while you are conducting your sessions, I'll
Hmm.
explore things by myself to get myself acquainted and familiarized, right? So
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
so that's the idea. But yeah, let's catch up tomorrow, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Sure, 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 sure. Definitely, we will do that tomorrow, and let's catch up tomorrow, and we will see into details about this. Is a very interesting topic. Even I feel from an as a mentor, I will feel very much excited when I teach that particular topic because that's very interesting, and they definitely will enjoy it tomorrow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Goodbye.
Thank you
Then
so much. Have
welcome.
a good rest of the day, and we'll catch up tomorrow at the same time. And is it going to be the same go-to meeting?
Yeah, I think this go-to meeting is still valid for another 3 days. I will catch up with the team. They will be sending if it is expiring. The Monday onwards, you'll be getting a new link, perhaps. Again, but tomorrow, I think this is the same link we'll be using. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.